and I'm your host for Everything Ballroom. I'm also an owner for a ballroom dance shop called Everything Ballroom, and also I'm a pole and dancer for 17 years. Our channel is really about bringing the joy and let people know this wonderful ballroom industry. A lot of people misunderstood or not aware. So I will invite guests and share their experience with us. So I hope you like what we're doing and give us some thumbs and everything ballroom. Thank you. Today I'm so delighted and I get a guest and a lot of people have seen her in ballroom dance world and she actually danced since 2010 240 some competitions. So it's like 17 competition a year. So if
Mm.
you are in the ballroom dance floor and competing, and most of time, and you have seen her, and she has been a wonderful dancer and then have been champions for uh, 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 four-time United States Ballroom Show Dance champions, and she also is a sponsored athlete by Hammer Nutrition and be featured 6 times in the national magazine. So I'm sure she has a well of knowledge and information can share with us. So I can't wait and call out our guest, Charlene Proctor.
Thank you. Thank
Yay!
you. Thank you so much, for having me. Truly an honor. I hope I can share some wisdom tonight. I think I've seen everything. So,
I'm sure you have.
I look forward to talking to you tonight. It's a joy to be here. Thanks again.
So welcome, and let's kick it start with a some uh, about you sharing a little bit fun fact. One fun fact that about you that most people don't know about.
All right, one fun fact. I this was funny. So, a couple years ago, I was at a competition. I think it was the CBC, and I had a big gap in time. So I went up to my room and, didn't want to lie down, didn't want to stretch. So I got on and I started looking at gardening videos because I really like to garden. This is my go to. I love to grow stuff. It is so satisfying. And my mother was a professional florist. So I grew up with flowers and, vegetables and creative. She was wonderfully creative. She's still with us. Um, so I thought it would be great given that I don't like the way the food is in the stores because it's all sprayed with chemicals and I'm a health nut. So I said, all right, I'm going to start growing my own food. I'm on a mission. And like anything I choose to do, I like to do it really big. So when I was at this comp, I was listening to all of these videos about gardening and how they used to do it in ancient Rome. And I just plunged big time. I did everything they were doing in ancient Rome. I put the water in the copper kettles and I watered the garden and I took crystals and put them on top of sticks and so that the sun would direct prism into the plants. And lo and behold, I got so good at the gardening. I mean, I grew thousands of tomatoes this year. I love it. It's something I really love to do. And the one thing I think, here's my fun fact, that makes a difference when you grow your food is you have to sing to your plants. And this was something that was discussed in one of those videos that I was watching when I was at a comp. And I thought, wow, you know, you can play Mozart or classical music into a glass of water and drink it. And it's supposed to like raise your vibratory frequency. And so file that fact away for competition because maybe, if you want to raise your frequency and perform better, we could talk about that on another interview. But I did it with the gardening. And my plants got so big with me singing my show dance tunes to them. I'd go out and last year we danced to a song called Do I Hear a Waltz? So every time I went out in the garden, I'd say, "Oh, hello everyone." And then I would sing, "Do I hear a waltz?" I mean, people must think truly I'm crazy, but I grew so much food, and it's October in Michigan, and I am still picking tomatoes, by the boatloads. So that must really work. So that's kind of my fun fact. I love to garden and I sing to my plants, and
That
I really love doing it. Yeah.
that's
They say,
wonderful. You
yeah, they say we're all a little crazy in ballroom industry, right? So I thought I would offer a crazy fun fact, but it is true. And anybody that wants to talk about gardening with me at a competition, I would be glad to, because I love doing it so much.
I can't believe that I find the second hobby that I'm in line with you. I'm passionate about ballroom dancing. I
Oh,
found that we have that,
yeah.
but I also love gardening. That's one
Oh,
thing that I miss when I was in Richfield. I have a
mhm,
huge garden. I share my plants, and many of my friends was the people in our town that I
mhm,
raised hands who come share plants. So that's
yeah.
how I met one of my regional manager. That's the story. We'll talk
Uh,
about dancing next time when we
okay.
meet each other.
Okay, good.
But now I am in Hong Kong, back and forth, and the gardening is a tough situation for me.
Mm,
And then they're doing more the potting plant instead. We have a
mhm,
big garden area, so I'll
mhm.
try. And they are not happy. Maybe I'll try singing to them and see whether they do well. So this is a very good fun fact, and I found instantly found two great hobby. I think ballroom dancing, because the people said people learn gardening, like gardening believe in hope.
Mhm, mhm.
You work it and it grows. So I think that's probably maybe one of the common theme and more positive people. They call it crazy, but I call it fun people. For we like to be fun and childlike. So this is a wonderful kickstart and then have a laugh on that. So now let's go into the meat. I want to ask you, you have been dancing so much,
Mm,
and I'm sure people will think only the rich people can afford it. But I don't want to get into that. And then people say, oh, she went because she's rich. She went because she go to so many competition. We have no comparison. I want to hear from you how you counter this conversation. So with other fellow dancers there.
mm. Um, all right. Well, I'm going to speak to a couple levels of this. First of all, the sport is very expensive to participate in. The training and the lessons, the coaching, floor fees, dresses, gowns, travel, hotel, paying for a pro, which is, a shock really to most people when they learn about the sport. But, there's a huge cost to participate in a lot of sports, not just ours. So, that's a given. And I would say that I am in deep gratitude that I actually can participate, because I understand the frustration of some people that have the skills and talent and they can't afford the training and the travel and so forth. So um, I don't think over the years, and you mentioned one of my factoids, which is 200. Actually, I went back and looked. I've been to 242 competitions. I think actually that's just kind of insane in many ways. But when you're on the circuit, that frequency is part of it. And if you want to stay fit and keep participating and getting more familiar with your style and increasing your proficiency, you have to be out there. And if it's passionate, and if competitive dancing is your objective, which it has been for me, I'm a terrible social dancer. Oh my God, I could never do that. Um, I would love to, but my heart is on the competitive floor. And for that, we need frequency. Okay. So I've completely explained and justified all of the frequency. I think that's necessary. Um, I'm not so sure, and it's a great question, that has to do with the reward of winning, because I've seen winning, be rewarded from a lot of avenues other than frequency. Um, people who are just so good that you can't hold a candle to them, or they're dancing a style in the fashion that many of the judging panels are teaching, and it does change. I mean, I've been doing this long enough to see that, for example, smooth isn't what we used to dance. You know, it didn't have so much shaping and athleticism. And so as the years have gone on, we've seen more of that. And so for those people, no matter how much frequency they have at the competitions, if they are in the style of what the particular panel is being judged, you know, judging at the time, then they would be more rewarded than somebody like me who maybe was, you know, dancing a more classical or traditional style. So I've seen that come and go. I don't think uh, I don't think that it's nice to be visible, to your point, and the frequency is great, because the one thing I will say is that judging, and you already know how difficult and challenging it is for people to judge. It is the most difficult job if you've ever done it. And I've only done it once at a very small studio. Somebody called me for an emergency and said, "Oh, will you know, judge our team match for the night?" I said, "Sure, you know, that sounds like a lot of fun." Well, I got a taste of how much work, effort, and time it was to judge. And it was the greatest experience for me being a competitor, because to be on my feet all night and have a few seconds to pick out a winning couple. You know, what are you going to look at? Their footwork or their frame or their level? Are they selling the routine? You know, and all these things. And it was so frustrating for me. And I only can say that when you're at a competition and judges are judging you, it's such a difficult job and takes so much energy and attention from them. I honestly don't know how they actually do it. I don't know how they stand there with such deliberate and extraordinary patience to watch everyone. So having said all of that, you know, to show up at a comp and you know, and win, you know, there's a lot of things about timing and having a panel, you know, that's able to really look carefully at what you're doing and appreciate what you're producing on the floor. I've seen people go to just a few comps and be super champions. You know, I'm not so sure the frequency is all about the winning. It's kind of a dynamic, multi-dimensional arena, as you know, and sometimes you're just in the right place at the right time with the right panel and the right gown, the right look, and man, you really dance great that day. And hopefully that's your day to win. So,
I so
yeah.
yeah, I appreciate what your experience talking about the judges. And I interview quite a lot of judges. Just yesterday I interviewed Sam. Sam basically said one thing and say, "Oh man, same thing. It's so hard to judge,
Mhm,
especially nowadays. These
mhm,
you guys have been, we call it pro am dancers. Your dedication is
mhm,
like professional, if more, not more than professional, right? So
mhm,
there's is a big competition out there. So, and he said, everyone on the floor, you know, you will get into that level already a winner.
mm,
So be proud and pat on the shoulder.
mhm,
So whether they mark you one, two, three, four, five, it doesn't really, it's
right,
really dependence. And then
mhm,
don't look at that as
mhm.
much, right?
Yeah.
Because they just have too little time to look at it.
Well,
Um,
well,
and
here's
I
the
into
I'm sorry, to your point is that, yeah, you know, if you need to be seen and want to be seen because you want to be rewarded for that as a serious competitor with a lot of skill, you do have to go to a lot of competitions because there's so much visual to look at. I mean, the one time I did it, it made me crazy. I mean, I was looking at a color of a dress and trying to go back and score. You have so little time to do it. So, yeah, the more familiar they get with your product and the more carefully that you choose where you're going to compete, so that you develop that visual relationship with a certain amount of people who can say, yeah, this is a quality product. I know I can reward that today because I've seen this a number of times. That, to your point, I think that's where the intention of the frequency has, not about the money you're spending. It's about being seen more often so that your product will be familiar to somebody so that they can check you through to the next round.
I so love what you saying that we actually like selling us, right? We're selling our performance. So happy people mark us number one. And basically, when I interview Andrew, which was a judge, he's so very direct. He say,
Mm-hmm.
if you go to the grocery store, you see all the familiar toothpaste. Which one you pick? Are the one that you hear about familiar? We're human beings. So, and then he put it in a very blank situation and said, that's it. The more I know about you, and then almost like doing an advertisement, and then let people see and try it, right? So that's why how you do it, but it doesn't need to be all a lot if
Mm-hmm.
you want more strategic, right? So for me, I always pick for each year the big one that I go,
Mm-hmm.
and then before each the big one I go, I call it a prep com.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't do as many as you, but if we're serious about winning, or that is what we want, we can choose to be social, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dancers, which is it's also as fun.
It
I
is
love social
fun.
dancing. I just love to go out because I was grew up in Asia. We do a lot of social dancing, so I love that aspect as
Mm-hmm.
well. So nothing wrong with it. But when you go to do actual competition, we need to understand our goal. In
Mm-hmm.
order to win, you do need to put in effort. You do need to, show your face. You do need to participate to get better. So Sam basically said, you need to participate in
Mm-hmm.
order to be winning, right? It's
Right.
a must done process. So I appreciate what you said there. And we do need to, it's not about the frequency. Sometimes is if you can afford it, that's fine. But if not, strategically place where
Yeah.
you go. And I will recommend people to listen to your coach or your teacher, right?
Mm-hmm.
They know this world, they know this environment. So plan ahead, luck favor the prepared. I would say is like, so plan ahead of the whole year and then
Mm-hmm.
already place yourself where you go and
Yep.
based on your budget,
Yep.
right? So be
Yes.
smart around that. I
Yep.
I don't, I'm just a working people. I am, have three kids to feed and a house to 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 pay mortgage off. So, we all plan and based on a budget, like what you
Mm-hmm.
said. And I appreciate, I know there's someone asked these questions, so I'm appreciate you give us honest and pretty, very
Mm-hmm.
reasonable answer to make people that it's not the problem, is not the bias, but it is a necessary
Mm-hmm.
steps sometimes. And we'll do based on what we can afford. And then we are pro am, we're amateur. So another thing I do want to say is that we all in this with a passionate agenda that to
Yeah.
do what we can do and enjoy what we do. That's great. So thank you. And I put that aside. A lot of people thinking that questions out in front of you.
Yeah.
Oh, then we're talking about next is that you have been dancing so much, and you like what you said, you have been there, you see it all. If I ask you, one recommendation and one suggestions for pro am dancers, uh, what would you recommend them in a competition dance floor?
Well, I've been a Hammer Nutrition sponsored athlete since 2010. And, they actually sent me an email the day before yesterday and they wanted to renew my contract. And I thought, this is insanity. I honestly, can't believe that they're still interested. But if anybody goes to hammernutrition.com and reads, even if you just read some of the articles and the people that run this company, which is about endurance fuel for athletes. Most of the athletes are 50, 60, 70 years old. I mean, the thing about the human body is getting more efficient nowadays. And the whole concept of fueling, I didn't know anything about when I first started to dance. And I've sent something. I was in bronze, and I got a hold of their magazine, and I actually wrote to them, and I had a picture of what our heat list looked like. Well, as you know, in bronze, you're dancing hundreds of entries. And I mean, I will admit that I went insane. I love dancing so much. I was dancing 4 styles in bronze. Well, and in bronze, you can do that. You absolutely can do that. You can dance hundreds of entries for a whole weekend, and I loved every minute of it because I didn't really know what I wanted to specialize in. So I just danced everything, and I was super fit. So one day I wrote to them and I sent them the seat list, which was like 5 pages long. And they got back to me and they said, I cannot believe what you guys are doing as ballroom dancers. How long are these events? They knew nothing about ballroom dancing. So I was like the ambassador of ballroom dancing for this company that's in Montana. And They were fascinated with it. And I was fascinated with how to improve my performance through endurance fueling, because, like I already said, I didn't know anything about it. In the old days, you'd go to a comp and you'd see baskets of candy on the table. Do you remember this? And people are snacking on M&Ms, and honestly, if I see it today, I'm like, oh my God, have you people learned nothing about how to improve your performance on the floor? I am getting to the answer to your question. So I would say that if I had any suggestion for people, it would be to understand how to feed and feed the body with nutrition, and understand how the body physically works during a race, right? And to understand when you bonk, which is when you get the sugar crashes. And all of this stuff is really interesting for people who are competitive ballroom dancers, because you've got crazy schedules. You've got sometimes dancing 4 times at 10 o'clock in the morning, and then you have to wait until late afternoon or the evening to do a scholarship, and you've got to warm up and time your food intake and time your blood sugar intake and all that stuff, because you cannot digest your food too close to the time that you run a race, right? And in our world, it's dancing that scholarship in the evening. So if I had any suggestion for people to improve their performance, it would be to get some education. And Hammer is a great place, because even if you don't buy anything, you don't like the products, they have a library of wonderful articles, and you can get their magazine every month. And if you don't want to buy it or deal with mail order, you can just get it online. And when I started to learn about endurance fueling, my performance went way up. I really started to work with my body better, and I wasn't getting injuries, and I wasn't getting sick, and I was keeping my weight down. So I'd say, if you want the greatest suggestion that goes beyond beautiful dresses and grooming and picking the right designer and the right company to create a look for you, and of course invest in your practice and coachings, it would be, when you do show up to the comp, have in your arsenal the right fuel and the right understanding about how to time that so you can maximize your performance. And you will see a huge difference in your performance when you can do that.
Oh, thank you. I love what you say, and I'm going to definitely check that out because that is also super important to me as a competitive dancer, right? So that's why I also do New Skin, which is a supplements and help us
Mhm.
to get more energy,
Yep.
keep us, when we are, anti-aging, so metabolism, all this is very important to us as dancer, how to look good and feel good from inside and out. So besides the dance dresses, I also offer that as well to dancers because I love it. But I haven't heard about what you tell us about the what's it called? Infused
Oh,
what's it called that?
endurance. I call them endurance fuels. Fuels.
In endurance feel. I will
Endurance.
go to study that.
Yeah, and just go to hammernutrition.com. And actually, if you order stuff under my code, you can get like 20% off of an order, but that's not why I mentioned it. Why I
I
mentioned it.
will put that in our
Oh,
descriptions
yeah,
with your
yeah,
code and with
yeah,
the website, so
yeah,
everyone can benefit from it. I always believe in win-win.
right.
So maybe you can look at what we can offer. Can be our ambassador as well as you are
Yeah,
an athlete on that. So
yeah.
I
Yeah,
that is
that
a
would be
way
my.
of community, right?
Mhm.
Sharing good stuff, good experience.
Right.
Thank you for that. So wonderful. So anything else that you think, what dance are you doing right now? You mentioned that you
Um,
start with bronze with all four dances. And I thought
or
are you
four
doing smooth or
style.
standard?
I'm doing smooth and standard. I gave up the American rhythm. Oh, and this is the thing about dances is, and everybody always says, "What's your favorite dance?" And it's impossible to answer that because they're like your children. I'm such a drama person. I love all of the dances. I love American rhythm, but I just can't do all of that anymore. It's so much time to train, and when you get into the open category, that power and that punch and that, you know, fuel of your energy and your and your body has to really perform and open, and I can't dance four styles like that at a competition anymore. And so um, I'm dancing open smooth with Mikhail Zarnoff. We just celebrated our 20 our anniversary. Wait, how do we say it? A dance anniversary.
Dance anniversary.
A
Dance
dance anniversary
anniversary.
on September 20th. And this is the longest guy I've been with, 7 years. 7 years. And I asked a person who's a highly intuitive a couple weeks ago, and we were talking. She's a friend of mine, and she said, "Oh, the reason you've been with this guy so long is because you're vibrating at the same frequency. You know, you have a similar vibratory, pattern." And I thought that was so interesting. You know, it was really interesting because when you're on the dance floor and you love what you do and you have the joy, it works when you're dancing with a partner that um, you're in training with in your heart space. So, I spent many years as a scientist, and I was a left brain person. That's a subject for a whole nother interview. But once I was writing a book and I talked about heart entrainment, and it's actually really interesting for dancing because when two people spend a lot of time together and they're in such close proximity, your heartbeats and your heart rhythms actually start to coordinate, and they like become its own choreography and its own pattern, if you will. And I thought that was so fascinating because every guy that I never got along with, I could never really perform as well with, because after a while it just becomes so stressful. So Mikhail and I have been super unusual because we used to dance smooth standard and the American rhythm, and so after he decided to retire it, I did too. So that's off the table. But the smooth we're still doing, and I just started with a new guy in standard, and you know I love the Latin, and I just feel those are my little children. What would life be without a cha-cha or a paso? I mean, I'm just not ready to give it up yet. So I do love the 10 dance event. You won't see me out there as much in it, but I truly love the event. I think it's really unusual. There's not many of us out there doing it. It's hard to have proficiency in 10 dances. And you told me you were a 9 dancer, so you know exactly what that kind of training is like. And then if you're dancing Latin and standard, you can't give up the smooth, right? Because I know this sounds really corny. You know what I'm going to say, but if standard and Latin had a baby, what would it be? It would be American smooth with swing thrown in. That's kind of an industry joke. So I feel like, dancing smooth and standard in Latin strategically, not all together anymore. I'd like to alternate those styles at different comps, and spread it out because I'm super busy with the studio now, and I probably won't be on the floor as much. I know. What's that thumbs up? It's crazy running a studio. That's a whole nother level of crazy, so we could talk about that, but I gave you a
Oh
very
my
long
goodness.
answer. I gave you a very long answer to a simple question. What styles are you dancing? So that's what I'm dancing and why. And I'm with really good people that I feel good about. And so I think the performances will get even better, as time goes on.
Actually, your answers quite match what I want to talk about. And people ask me, I'm a dance junkie.
Uh,
So I do all of my dresses
yeah,
business or new skin because
yeah.
I want to, I love that to begin with, but
Hmm.
also have income so it can feed me to dance, right?
Hmm.
And then I tell people that don't ask how much money I spend on it. I am worth it. I said, because I believe this is such a good thing, like what you said, to my body, to my
Yeah.
mind, to
Yes.
everything. So it's such a humbling experience. So I totally understand, how you say, and I love every single dances, right? So,
Hmm.
and I just love dancing. So, and
Hmm.
it just, I think we are in the common there. And one thing that you mentioned in your answer, I think is good for everyone, is find the right teacher. I changed
Mm.
many teacher along the way, not by choice, but because the teacher move along
Hmm.
and it forced me to change, but a lot of time is a good change.
Yes.
I have talking to friends, they're not happy with their partner, but they're not want to change until once they change and all come back to me and say, oh my god, I'm so glad that you actually encourage me to open the thinking of it, because like what you said, it's a partnership.
It is.
If you can't find someone dance with you and connect with you, I keep saying that finding a dance teacher
Yeah.
is harder than
Yeah.
finding a husband. Okay,
Hmm.
not only they need to be good and nice, and they need to be similar height and be good looking and dance good dancer, and that's harder. So it's okay
Yeah.
that
I can speak to this subject probably better than anybody. I actually, before I called you tonight, and being in Hammer Nutrition has been interesting because over the years I've kept track of who I danced with and all the results and how many times I've been on the floor with a guy. It's just like one big database. So I went back into the resume, the dance resume, and I've had 10 partners. I have to call them
wow,
partners, honestly, because you
yes.
spend so much time together. That's what it evolves into. 10 different guys. And I'm looking at this list, and I think the problem with people that don't want to leave the person they're dancing is because of the sheer investment in money and time. You spend so much time working on choreography. You have coaching, outside coaching come in, and all the hours of practice, the traveling and all that. And it is a very big commitment. It's like a marriage. And it's very tough to walk away. It really is. And I've been there 10 times for a whole variety of reasons. But I will say this to your point, because that's a subject of a whole nother show. Um, when you're
We're gonna
not,
have that one. That's a very
that's a
interesting
good
one.
one. That's a good one. Talk about dance partnerships. Oh my God, I could talk for an hour about that. I've seen it all. And the bottom line is if you don't have that connection with another person, and I'm going to go back to the heart space, if you don't have something there that really is the glue between two people, the love that you share, you have a good work ethic, you have a good sense of humor together, that's really important in dancing. You have to laugh, a little bit along the way, because if there's no joy, and I've actually had a couple guys that I knew I was never going to have any fun or laugh, and the partnerships just don't last when that goes through. It's almost painful to do. So I think in terms of performance, you're going to get your best performance when joy is emanating from your body. I swear to God, when before I walk on the floor, I never used to do it, but now I do. Um, I try to spread those angel wings in the on deck area, and I always say to myself, please let my dancing bring joy and uplift someone in this room so that they can have a happier and a better life. And when you go onto the floor with a guy who can share that vision with you, at least vibrationally, your dancing is going to be so good they can't possibly give you a second place. I'm telling you, because these are the vibrations and the connections that are the thread of humanity. This is who we are as people, sharing consciousness, and we got to believe in our art, and we have to really believe in what we're bringing to enrich the world, right? And you're actually enriching the world, and you're changing the world by bringing joy through your dancing. And that, my friend, is a huge purpose. And so when you have the right guy to dance with, boy, you can really, really grow. You can grow as a person so much. So I really believe in strong partnerships. The ones that are struck, they don't last, and then you can't inspire anybody. End of
I
story.
I love this so much, and we definitely should plan for an interview just for that because I hear so many horrible stories, and they just stick with it. And just like marriage, right? It's convenience,
Mhm.
and you don't want to change, right? So,
Mhm.
but sometimes it's not right,
Mhm.
especially it is not a marriage, and you don't have children to worry about in the marriage, and this is the
No,
purpose.
your dances are your children. I already said that earlier.
No, but we want to produce better childrens, so
Yes.
finding the right people that you can bring out the force like garden, right? You
Yes.
need to put the thoughts, and then the flower growing is the
Mhm.
art that we come produce. If you find the right partner to garden with you,
Yes.
the result will be 10 times better. When you're not happy, like what you said, when you're not happy, you're not going to produce beautiful
Yep.
children, period.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
start with self, like what you said, start with yourself. I keep telling people is that you know your heart, you
Mhm.
know why you're not happy, or work it out with your partners, right? Be
Mhm.
have a good conversation. Can you guys work it out to
Mhm.
create a true partnership to build out a happy partner? That is such a beautiful joy and things that ballroom dancing is a very different than any form of arts. It's two people produce a children's. It is that dancing.
It's
So I love what you said. So
yeah.
thank you so much. I really enjoy our conversations, and hopefully I'll see you more, and you can be our ambassador for dresses, for our products,
Uh,
or any even though you're not, that's okay. So we'll just have a good conversation and talk about children. So our
Yeah.
beautiful dancing and our love of dancing. And as a parent, we can talk children's for forever, gardening as well. So
Yes.
grateful for you and
Thank you.
thank you for your time. It's very, very insightful.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. And then for the people out there, hopefully you enjoyed the conversations that we have. And if you like what we're doing, please give us a thumbs up. And next conversation that we have, we're going to have a guest, Lucas, and it will be. Sorry, I need to. Ellie going to remind me when is the next
It will be next Tuesday, October 15 at 9 a.m. Eastern Time.
Great.
Looking at
October
variety.
15th, 9 a.m. Eastern Time. And we have a legends to be here and we talk more. And then we will be have a guest as well to co-host with us. And hopefully we'll have a more a roundtable style. And we're going to discuss some topics that dancers may be interested about. Thank you so much and have a good night.